Sam KNC says, when I heard Ventress was going to be in Bad Batch, I read Dark Disciple and finally watched your review, and which was great.
Yay, thank you.
My question is, how do y'all feel about her being brought back to life? I don't love it, but if her and Quinlan get back together, then it'll all be worth it.
Yeah, because Quinlan is on the path out there, too.
His name was on there, at least, right? We don't know what happened exactly. I've had some different thoughts that I didn't want to say during Bad Batch because of Calvin and Rick, just to make sure if there's things that they want to experience. I'm not necessarily spoiling it for them.
I've had some thoughts, too.
And I also don't want to spoil people that are maybe they just watch Bad Batch, and I don't want to spoil them necessarily either. But on this, I
had
feel
a lot of time to at least watch that trailer, which apparently she was in the trailer.
Yeah, right. So I do want to be able. We can talk a lot more freely here. I feel
yes,
like. Yes,
absolutely. Let's talk Ventress.
Spoilers on probably everything that we've covered whenever.
My dear Obi-Wan.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on Ventress's return?
So here's the thing. This isn't new. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yep.
Even Peel didn't die here. He dies here.
Yep.
Shakti doesn't die these 3 times. She dies this 1 time.
Yep.
Kanan didn't turn left. He turned right. Like those type of things. Like I get it. Like personally for me, having no idea it was going to happen, I could not get out of my shock mood for the entire episode, which was a detriment to me enjoying the episode because I rewatched a lot of those scenes last night and enjoyed them 10 times more.
Dude, the fight with the clones is so good.
It's so good. Ventress herself and her utilization of what she's there for and showing like how different she is good. But I could not get out of the space of like, what? Man, I'm here for it. They did it with Darth Maul. Whenever Darth Maul, you saw Darth Maul's face in that, Night Sister crystal ball, you go, wait, what? And then when it's done, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, hell yeah, that's cool.
Just wait till Mace Windu comes back.
But I guess I need that with Asajj first, Like, I mean, we all had the feeling of like Palpatine's back, in that trailer, If I hadn't have seen that trailer, I would have been just as shocked, if not more shocked, when I watched the crawl of that, and I bet you I wouldn't have gotten out of that funk for a bit. So this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes you're just in a weird mood. And I think my weird mood was being so shocked and not being able to stop myself being shocked and thus dulling my reaction to everything else. Does that make sense?
Sure. I suppose so. For me, I don't think I went that way.
Yeah.
I was very surprised because my first thought was like, she's dead. It must be Merritt.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any other like Night Sister kind of people that it could be. I don't know who else, why. Like, but
it would be weirder if it was Merritt.
It did. Neither one made sense to me.
No.
I was just kind of flabbergasted with it. But then once it happened and I'm there with it, and I think my thoughts went to like I'm very curious and looking forward to what they do with this character going forward. And that doesn't necessarily have to be going forward. It can also be going backwards, right? We see Boba Fett's return in Mandalorian, but we just know he's there.
Yeah.
Now if you have Legends and stuff like that, you're like, okay, well, same thing with Palpatine. It's like, well, in Legends, this happened. So that's probably what they did. And in Boba Fett Legends, he fell in Sarlacc pit, he got back out, So like that's probably what happened. But then we don't get to see that until like another series. Or for Palpatine, we haven't seen that for Mandalorian and Bad Batch and whatever else they're doing that I think is slowly seeding all of this in there, right? Like in Mandalorian, we get a little bit things with like Grogu and Pershing, right?
Sure, yeah.
And like, okay, well, what's this stuff and what are they working towards? What's Project Necromancer and stuff? And then you get Bad Batch where it's like, oh, here's Project Necromancer way back here, and like, where are we going with this? But we had already had the reveal he returned.
We did.
Now we're like unraveling the mystery of how he got back. So I'm looking forward to the idea of like, okay, well, this is what I believed happened to Ventress. This is what I believed happened to Darth Maul.
Yeah.
But then we got this answer. So I'm looking forward to seeing like what they do. And there's so many questions we have on the Night Sisters and the magic. And now we've learned that Night Sister magic itself has come from like another galaxy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where it originated from. And it has connections to the father and the sister and the brother. And I don't know what all this stuff means.
Agreed.
But I'm looking forward to seeing like maybe if it's Dave or Favreau or both of them or more people kind of crafting like, did Ventress get taken back to Dathomir to be laid to rest and something with this magic's occurred? Maybe she wasn't all the way dead. Maybe it's because of how she died. I don't know. Could she be a clone? Like we talked about that too. Like I don't know, but I want
to be satisfied.
Yeah, I have excitement to see what it's gonna be.
I was extremely satisfied with Maul's, but I bet you I wouldn't be as satisfied if it wasn't Sam Witwer. adding in,
maybe
know, the little like through victory my chains are broken. Like he's under his breath doing the Sith code, like sold it for me. The chains are the easy part. it's what goes on here that's hard. Like that kind of stuff. Like it doesn't work unless you go that deep. I would say like maybe one of the reasons that I was so shocked and I am still dealing with my feelings on it is I loved Asajj's end in that book.
Sure.
I love that book, but I specifically loved it. I'm not satisfied when Boba Fett falls into Sarlacc. Get him out of there,
like that killed him?
I'm not satisfied when Darth Maul. I mean, in the moment, in the movie, it's satisfying that Obi-Wan gets to win.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, but he was such a cool-looking villain. I'm not satisfied. I was kind of satisfied with Asajj.
I was unsatisfied that we didn't get to see it in Clone Wars.
Yes.
But I love.
You know what?
I love
100%. You're correct. And that's another thing too. If those were made, this I don't think would have happened this way.
Yeah, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that if those 8 episodes were made and they saw Asajj's end in the Clone Wars, it would not have been presented in this way. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it is because again, for what it did to Omega character, because suddenly I'm not thinking of the Bad Batch taking care of Omega. I'm thinking of Omega needing to shed the Bad Batch to do things, and I'm like, wow, I never thought of her as an agent before.
Yeah,
just something to take care of.
Sure.
So that was cool, and Ventress brought that. I mean, with Crosshair stuff too, sure, but Ventress especially being like, she could have a destiny that you are not equipped for, and it's not fair to keep her down like that.
Maybe it's also things that because it was in a book, we can also revisit it.
Yeah.
Ahsoka had a moment in Tales of the Jedi that was very similar to a moment in her book.
Yeah.
Albeit a little different, but the general story was still kind of there. Yeah. Maybe something like that. Maybe Tales of the Jedi. I mean, Ventress will say it herself that she's no Jedi, but also so does Ahsoka that she's not a Jedi. But maybe Tales of the Jedi can also cover something with like Ventress or something in the future, and maybe we get glimpses of it there of what happened. Or we get another. We've done flashbacks in for Grogu and Mandalorian where we've gotten more information that way. I don't know. I wonder what we'll do and if we can get some of that book in there.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm also curious where Quinlan went. Right, Quinlan must have escaped from the Purge, but where is he? And have they, Quinlan and Ventress? Could Ventress end up in the next Jedi game?
Yeah.
And like we have Tanalorr. I think it's Tanalorr, right? Is what it's called. This kind of out away from everything place that we could hide in. Could the path lead to there, and could Ventress help with the path and be involved in that for some reason? And I don't know. I think it opens a lot of cool things, and it was a character I really did enjoy, and her arc in Clone Wars was great.
Yeah.
So I'm not upset, but I do enjoy the story in the book, and however they continue kind of crafting this.
Yeah.
Like as long as it doesn't kind of like tread on that, I think I'll be happy.
Okay.
But maybe they'll kind of revisit it like they did with Tales of the Jedi and still kind of keep it, maybe not Tales itself, but maybe in some way or fashion.
The only thing that I'll say to that, and I think that's a cool idea, and I'm sure if I got that, I would be like, hell yeah, that was fun, because there's some really talented artists working on these things. The only thing I'd say is, like, I loved that we got Darth Maul's answer in the thing that brought him back.
Sure.
And if you're going to take up... see, this is my selfish part of me. Don't take up a Tales of the Jedi episode with something that should have been done here, Like, it's what people got mad at with Book of Boba Fett.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I guess, but I wasn't mad about that.
Well, no,
For
because...
me, it was just Star Wars and, like, the Mandalorian stuff that happened in Boba Fett. It was just like, that's just continuing my story.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, it's just continuing that version of the story, and I understand that.
We had important Boba story in Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so
but Tales of the... Like, Book of Boba Fett was never going to have, like... here's just a random story about Plo Koon,
Sure.
It was going to have something super related to what Boba Fett's going through, and that's other Mandalorians out there gathering their families.
Yeah.
So I get that. If I'm doing an episode of Tales of the Jedi for a Ventress thing, I might be like, this is cool, this is interesting, but Tales of the Jedi has so much potential, I almost want to be like, no, do it somewhere else. But that's a part of me that is willing to be... not being beholden to my first reaction and feelings of something, but willing to open up and be like, okay, if you're going to do it, it better be good.
Sure.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to see it because they did awesome with Maul.
Well, it could even just be, it's not of interest, but it's Quinlan, Tales of Quinlan.
Yeah.
and Ventress has to be a part of it, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, that could be cool.
Which I think would be a neat way to do it, even.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not against her return. I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing what comes of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there were certain people that didn't like the Clone Wars stuff. I'm sorry, the Order 66, the way the clones turned on the Jedi when they watched Revenge of the Sith. They're like, that's dumb. They just listen to this guy and do it. They betray everything, not knowing that this story will come. It will come in something later, deeper, and we'll think about it.
Sure.
And now when I watch those scenes, I don't even think about it anymore. So future Eric looks forward to rewatching that episode, not in the mood of complete shock and bewilderment.
Yeah. No. Totally understand that.